Hi everyone, this is Angie Hunt with Little Darlings. I thought we'd do something a little different today. This isn't going to be a coloring tutorial or necessarily a very specific how-to project tutorial. It's going to be much more generic, and hopefully we're going to answer some of the questions that so many of you have asked us in terms of how we put our projects together. We've got some fantastic designers on our team, and they're really great at project composition. And and so I think a lot of you are wondering, how is it we do things like choose the colors, how do we choose our papers, how do we decide where things are going to go, and so on. And so I thought I would try and address some of that for you. First and foremost, the order of, of putting the project together, I think, is maybe a little bit different for different people, but for me, it always starts off with the image. So I always select my image first, and today I've decided to work with one of our little polka doodles, Winnie Sugar Blossom characters, and this one is Garden Rose. And so I chose her because I really liked the fact that she was a little more rounded. Some of the images might be taller and skinny. They might be great for certain, different size card. Maybe you're doing an A2 size card that's going to be a little taller and more narrow. And a much taller, skinnier image will work perfectly for that. I'm working with a 6x6 card. It's one of the standard sizes that we use a lot. The reason why we like it so much is it gives us a central location to put our image, but then it also gives us a lot of space around it so that we could fill in and do a really great composition with some of the die cuts and flowers and things like that. So after I pick the image, I pick out my papers. And I always go to the 6x6 paper packs. The reason is that everything that's in these packs is already beautifully coordinated for you. So the colors are going to work really well together. You're going to have a great selection of patterns. And so you really can't go wrong. You just need to think a little bit about how you want things to look on the card. So starting with this, let me show you some of the papers, or not some of them, but all the papers that, the actual pattern papers that come in here in this kit. So this is what you're going to be looking at in terms of this kit, okay? There's also some alphanumeric sheets, but for this video, we're just going to be looking at these pattern papers. So here's my image. So I always choose the image first, choose my papers so I get my colors, and then from the papers, I determine how I'm going to color her, what colors I'm going to use, and I pull those colors from my papers. So for this particular project, I'm going to put these two sheets down right here because they're not quite as pink as I would like. And so then I'm left with these four. I will almost always choose 3 patterns to start with. And I like them to all be a little bit different. So I like to have a small, busy pattern, maybe a pattern that's a little bit larger. I'll look for a stripe or a polka dot, something that's going to complement the florals. So I like this floral, and I like this floral. And the differences really are the size. And so for me, I'm going to say this one to go on the inside of the card. We always decorate the inside so that whoever you give this to has something beautiful to look at when they open it as well. So I'm going to put this one aside. It has a larger floral pattern. This one is a little bit smaller, a little more busy. I would not put these together because I think it's too busy and they compete with each other since they're both florals. So I'm going to put this one down. We're going to save that for the inside of the card. So that leaves me with these 3. Okay. So I have these 3 pattern papers. I'm definitely going to go with the small floral. I love how the stripe looks against it. It's very different. I'm going to set this one down for now, and I'll use it on another project. I love the paper, but it's just not giving me the look that I want right now. I want two patterns that are going to be a little more bold, and they're definitely going to stand off of each other. So these are the 2 I'm going to work with on the front of my card. Whether it goes horizontal or vertical, I'll figure that out as I go. So I'm going to start with just cardstock. This is an ivory sheet of cardstock. Sorry it's so bright. I've cut this down to 6x12, scored it down the center, folded in half, and that is going to be my card base. Okay. Typically, when we're putting these cards together, by the way, we're going to have them open bottom to top, so up and down. We're not going to have them open side to side because when you set that down on a table, it's not going to have as beautiful of a visual display. So this way it's going to be nice and square, sitting nice and straight on your table. So from there, we're going to start cutting into our papers and decide how we want things to lay out. And I've got a little visual here for you. I'm not going to go through all the steps, but I do want to explain what we do, or at least what I do. I usually will start off, I'm going to have my piece of paper, whatever size I'm going to cut it in my pattern. And then I'm always going to have something that we call it's mounted to a background piece. And I've done this in a brown so that you can really see the difference. The paper in the front is cut on all four sides. It's cut a 1/16 of an inch smaller than the one behind it. So that when you put it together, you get a 16.5 inch border all around it. Can you see that? That's what's going to cause that beautiful buildup in your cards so that you see all of that dimension. And then you can see on this card how I've done that. Okay, so here we've got the white card base. I have the pink cardstock that I chose that coordinates beautifully with it. That is what I have mounted the smaller floral to. And then I decided to put this stripe in a horizontal, and I've actually mounted that to a white cardstock in the background. Okay, and then my image, I have taken and I have cut the image out. This is with one of our fancy rectangle dies. And then I used the larger die that comes in the set to cut out the cardstock that's in pink. Let me get this on here straight. And then I would secure those together with some sort of an adhesive. And you can see how beautifully it frames it. And then that I put on the front of the card. Okay, so this gives me a really, really great foundation to start with. How I go, or where I go from here, really is up to my imagination. So one of the things I like to do, I like to play with our dies. So I've decided to grab, this is our gilded doily, and this doily can be used year-round. It's perfect as a doily. It is absolutely perfect if you choose to use it as a snowflake. But I'm going to take this, and to show you one of the little tricks that we do, I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to cut it in half. One of the things that's really fun to do is to take all the dies that you have in your collection and just start playing with them and seeing how you can work with them, kind of what we call outside of the box, what you can do with them that's different. So I've cut this in half. This will allow me to use it in two places. Let me hold it down here. In two places on this card and get the greatest impact. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It just adds a real delicate piece to the front of that card. So pretty. And then from here, we would start embellishing. You can put a sentiment on the front. I go right to flowers from here. If I wanted to add some more die cut pieces to that, you're going to play with those dies and see where you can fit them in. Remember, you can tuck them in anywhere. You can tuck them in up top. You could put a piece of lemon. Lots of options here. And I do have some other finished cards that I'm going to show you shortly too, that you can see what we've done with some of these things. But I want to talk flowers because flowers are very, very important. The flowers that I choose, that all comes from my papers as well. So I go to all my little flowers and I look for my pinks. So here's a beautiful pink. I've got these. It's kind of a two-tone pink and white. I think that looks just stunning with it. I've got a white, another white, and some more white and pink. But what I want you to notice is the difference in the sizes. These are both pink. These look like white on the screen, I can tell, but it's actually a pink. But the difference in the sizes. Okay, so I've pulled pinks in two different sizes, and then I've also pulled some white in different sizes. So I have a small, kind of a medium, and then I have a larger one. And then I've also pulled some pearls that I can play with as well. You can put those wherever you choose. And once those get added to the card, one of the things that I would do is I would start thinking, where do I want to start with my flowers? Typically, I will put flowers on one side or the other, close to the bottom in one of these corners. So if I'm going to put some flowers down here, this image happens to be looking, she's looking straight ahead, but she's kind of pointing off to the side there. So I would probably put my sentiment on this side. Keep that kind of open. That's the direction she's facing. And then on the other side of her is where I would start my flower composition. And so I might put a sentiment over here, and then I might balance with some more flowers. So I want to show you a different project that I did, laid out somewhat similarly, okay? And this one you can see where we have the image again. This is one of our dollhouse images. Her name is Chill. But you can see I used the same fancy rectangles dies where I cut the image out, and then I used the larger die to cut the background, all right? Here you can see I used that same doily, cut it in half, put half of it here, and then half of it over here. I have another one of our dies across the top. That's our peaceful dove. Back in here, I don't know if you can see this, but there is some lace back here that I've just kind of loosely put across the bottom, all right? But notice the flower composition, all right? She is facing, she's kind of facing to the right, and then she's looking straight ahead. So I could have gone with either side there with flowers. I chose to put the flowers, the bulk of the flowers, on the back side, which is where I usually like to put them, so that it's kind of behind the image a little bit. And then I balanced again with a few smaller flowers on the other side in front of her. There is room here if I choose to put a sentiment. I don't have to put a sentiment on the front if I want, but I can. We do it a lot. But notice the balance of composition. So we've got flowers kind of on both sides. We're not too heavy on one side. If you just put all your flowers real heavy up on one side here, it's just going to look visually off balance. So you have to have something over here. It doesn't have to be more flowers. It could be a sentiment and a bow, but just so that you have some balance with the composition. And notice this opens again up and down, so that when it rests on the table like this on display, it's nice and squared. It's not leaning over funny. It looks really, really great. So those are just some of the tricks of the trade. Stay tuned for more videos. We put videos out here every couple of weeks. We would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you do subscribe to our channel, you will get automatic notifications. And again, look for us. We've got videos out. We try and put them out every couple of months, and we're going to be, or not couple of months, I'm so sorry. We try and put them out every couple of weeks. So, so look for us, subscribe, and we hope you will learn a lot from us. We've got different designers out here all the time, and I'm kind of rambling right now. But anyway, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much. Have a great day.